Welcome to the Grown Up Group. This is a podcast by regular people tackling the world from a Black perspective. Today, I'm actually joined by Kira, Victor, and I'm Ty, and we're featuring David and Jordan. Thank you guys for joining us. Today, we're going to be discussing bettering the world for our future generations. So, you guys ready?
Yes.
Let's delve into this. I'm going to turn it over to Kira, where she's going to ask you guys about life. Kira?
Hi guys, how are you tonight?
Good.
Okay, can you guys tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name's David. I graduated from Wise High School in 2023. My plans for the future is going into trade school for electrician and wiring. So that's about it.
Oh, that's good.
Really good.
My name's Jordan. I'm 17. I go to Eleanor Roosevelt High School and I graduate this year.
Awesome. Yay to both of you guys. Okay, so what are your thoughts on Generation Z? Whoever want to go first could go.
Okay, well, my thoughts on Generation Z. I'll say I have a lot of thoughts. I disagree with it also, but I also agree with it. Reason why I say I disagree with the Generation Z is the things that we're doing. Like, how do I put it in? Like everybody's like the crime rate has skyrocketed because of our generations, because of how easy it is to get a gun. Nobody wants to fight. Everybody wants to shoot. Everyone lets their emotions play a part instead of like talking it out. So I disagree with that. But I also I feel as in like this generation has found like new ways to make money, or like new ways like not having to go to school, and you can do this to make money and make a career instead of having to go to school and get a degree. So I kind of like am between the both. Like I agree, I like it and I don't like it at the same time.
Okay. When you say make money, a new way to make money, what do you mean? Like social media
Like
and
social media influence, social media marketing, drop shipping, just a whole bunch of stuff that you can do to make money instead of having to go to school and get a college degree, or get a certificate. I mean, it's good to learn a trade. That's always good as a
right,
backup. But now it's like in this generation, people are finding new ways to make money instead of having to go to school for 8 years, get a certificate, spend all this money on loans when you can do this and possibly make more or the same amount as if you were to get a degree.
right. I agree with you on that one. I mean, school isn't for everyone. I mean, it's some jobs out there where you can work that job. You're definitely going to get the training. Some of them really do just want the degree or whatever, but I definitely agree with you on that one. Okay. So Jordan, your take.
And if I'm being completely honest,
Right.
I agree with David a little bit, but I still think Gen Z is the best generation ever.
And why is Gen Z the best generation?
The world is changing and it's not the same world it was 20 years ago. And I feel like older generations have a hard time with like letting that go, letting that way of life
Right,
go. The world is not the same anymore. And
right.
I think Gen Z is good at molding.
That's why I always say about the generational gap. I always talk about that. The generational gap has to be broken at some point, and I think you guys are breaking that gap.
To a degree, because I think that
Yeah,
Generation Z is one of the most selfish generations. They are, more conscious than we were back then. We were told to basically straighten our back and make sure that we follow the rules. And I think
right,
that you guys have no problem being rule breakers. It's a pro to it, but it's also a con because, you don't want to break the rules when it matters. And I think that's what I'm a little nervous about the future generations, because what happens when you're faced with confrontation or you're in a legal, situation, and you want to take a stance because you feel that you're right? Feelings doesn't justify stance. Like, you really can't just go based on like, oh, I feel that I'm right. Sometimes feeling that you're right can get you in more criminal harm than good, because feelings isn't, against a police officer or someone of authority figure. That may not just be the stance. You can't go in with a feeling that would get you harmed. And that's what I'm a little nervous about Generation Z.
right.
I have a children at Generation Z, of course. And I think the level of respect or of my expectations of their level of respect should always be, your child. To a degree, a child should stay in a child's place unless they are addressed. And you guys go against that totally. You want to be heard, you want to express yourself. And that isn't a wrong thing. It's just the timing of when you do it is wrong. Like, when you're combative to authoritative figures, that's where it may be conflict. That's where it may harm you. Do you guys agree with that?
I
They
agree
have
and
like a
disagree.
fearlessness to them that they're just like, we don't care. And I'm like, you have
Right,
to, because your life
I
may be at harm.
right.
I agree and disagree with the statement that you said. I
Mhm.
do agree that this generations we act out of emotions and we can't take criticism. And once someone
Mhm.
tries to criticize us, even if it's not even a bad criticism, they're just generally trying to help us. We tend to let our emotions play and then start getting disrespectful. So I agree with you on that part. But then again, I also disagree when you said that we should stay in a child's place and like the things that happened that you guys did, we should be doing it too. I'll say the reason why I disagree because the things like back then, like what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say like I'll say
You
that
have the receipt.
this generation is not scared. Like back then, LGBT like the gay community and stuff was not a thing. Now it's like everyone doesn't care what nobody thinks. They're willing to express their emotions on how they feel, so they're not worried about what none of y'all say. So I do respect Gen Z on that part, not caring what anybody has to say about them. But I also agree with you when you talk about how they can't take criticism, they act out of emotions at the wrong time. I do agree with that. So I'm like really in between right now.
Yeah. I think I'm more concerned about your safety from that regard, because when you're
Right.
standing in front of authoritative figures, and this is my point, when you're standing in front of authoritative figures, and I say that from like the police officers and maybe like someone that feels that they're bigger and better or brighter, you know what I mean? When you have that combativeness and you have that, and not to say that you guys shouldn't to a degree, by all means, you should protect yourself. But I think when you have that and you don't know when to calm down out of the emotional stance, that may be what hurts you. And that's what I'm a little fearful about.
Oh, yeah, I was going to give a little pushback because it's kind of not fair because every generation has that streak of rebellion system when they're early and they're young. So these guys are young, so of course they're going to have it. They're full of energy. They see the world the way they see the world, and eventually, I hate to tell you to, but it will change you.
Right. I was about to say touche,
Will calm a
Victor.
lot of that
Touche,
stuff
Victor.
down.
Because
Right,
we
right.
did, have that rebellious streak, but we knew when to straighten our back and it'd be like, when someone of authoritative or management or job related, came and combated against us, we knew we had to humble ourselves and basically say, no, you know what? There may be something here that I need to learn or listen to. So that's my concern because, I'm raising them as well. And I think sometimes when I'm met with that combativeness or that my feelings statement, I'm always quick to say that's great that you have feelings. Everybody does in this world, but sometimes you have to move your feelings aside in order to get things done. And that's what I'm a little fearful with this generation. And I think that's why they're one of the most disliked, generations, because we don't care about feelings when it comes to Generation X. We had to roll up our sleeves and get dirty and go swing with the mud a little bit in order to live and survive. So I want to say, I appreciate your generation, but I also know that I'm a little cautious and a little scared for your generation because of that fearlessness that you guys hold and that selfishness that you have within you wanting to have what you have. Yeah, I'm a little nervous for you guys.
Oh no, I wanted to say something about that also because I worked in a school and the children in it, the parents are teaching them to be that way. So I'm thinking like it's up to us. I mean, of course we have to teach our child, but a lot of these parents that's teaching their children like you have rights, you have feelings, and okay, you have rights and you have feelings or whatever, but it's just like you don't have rights. And I mean, the adult authority don't have rights. What I'm trying to say is, I guess, discipline a child. So like a lot of these kids don't listen to their adult authority because of what they're being because of what they're being taught at home and things like that. So
I see that more so
yeah,
in white families. I do see that in white families where they'll tell their child, we're soft parenting. And I've heard those statements, soft parenting. But I think in a Black household, we don't deal with soft parenting. We deal with, I've given you rules, regulations, and this is what you need to
Right.
follow. And when they're not followed, you get punishments and you get, your items taken from you. You get your room taken from you. Like, I can't even begin to
Right.
tell you, I rented a U-Haul truck for my son just so I could be like, okay, you didn't listen to me. That means you want to live for $25 an hour in a U-Haul truck with your items that you purchase, because none of that stuff that I purchase is going in that U-Haul truck. And I think that was a harsh reality to him. But I said, what happens when the rest of the world, when you don't, have regard for respect for, your landlord or someone else, and you just like, I'll do whatever I want. There's repercussions for every action.
Right.
There's a reaction. So when you get the negative reaction, you can't expect it because you did the action. And I think that's a lot of things that Generation Z don't quantify as a problem, because they're like, oh, well, I'll get through it, I'll figure it out. And it's like, but
Right.
your feelings and your emotions got you in that situation. So you gotta be able to stand strong in that. Like, okay, damn, I did something wrong. I'm gonna have to own this like a little bit. So yeah, I think that's what I'm saying as a parent. Like, and I'm an authority figure. Think about that. I'm someone's in this house authority figure. If they can't
Right.
take my direction, then when they walk out my door, whose direction are they going to be willing to hear and listen to? So that's what I think Generation Z doesn't really want to hear. They have no regard because of that fearlessness. But you have to learn that, because if you don't, I was rebellious in my 20s. And that knock up against the head, ooh, it left a bruise. Like, it really hurt when someone humbled me. And I was
Right.
like, damn, I'm going to have to follow this rule, because if I don't, it affects my pocket or my wallet. And I can't get the same paycheck as I used to have or what I used to do. So I want you guys to caution on that, because I don't want you to hurt yourself trying to learn a process. I know it's going to be a learning experience for you guys. And when you face
Right.
it, you're going to be like, damn, it may be a college situation. It may be a work experience. It may be a life situation. I just don't want it to be the most severe situation. It's authority and a police officer, and then boom, something serious is happening, taking place. And you're like, oh, how could I have handled that better? How could I step back in that situation and done things a little bit differently? So yeah, I'll let you have it, Kira, from there. If you guys have anything to
Um,
say to that, do you guys have anything
yeah.
anything to say? In addition to that, I did hear David say he's in the middle, but Jordan, any response to that?
I think it's all about control. Like, I think because we're so rebellious, like I feel like because older generations, like I said before, like had a different type of structure than we do, like they can't take our rebelliousness. So they want us to be even kill all the time.
I agree. This generation has a lot more information than we did at their age. So it's a
Right.
bit of a different burden that they have to carry than we did. We had the beauty of ignorance and having to go somewhere to look something up. Now they just reach in their back pocket and they got the world at their fingertips. So that's a lot of responsibility to have. And then to
Yeah.
be able to be leading the world going forward with that said power, that's just as rough. So yeah, I mean they are going to, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but they have figured things out differently than we did.
Right.
The certain barriers to information that we had, they don't have them. They have a lot more connectivity. So there's, things that they exchange with each other that we can't fathom at that time. So yeah, I mean, they seem a little more angsty because they know a little. Can't be mad at them.
Right. I'm not mad,
Yeah.
but I do understand the perspective of, you do have the world at your fingertips because you have your devices, and you have cell phone, you have computers, but you also have to make sure you're doing thorough research. Because I never forget, one of my children made a clap back to me one time, like, I'll call the police. And I immediately said, well, go ahead, because they were 18 at that point. And I said, go ahead and call the police, because you feel that if I struck you or if I took something from you and you feel it's your possession, you're going to call the police on me, and then I'm going to deal with the repercussions with authority, right? But then how reversed is that when the police show up at my door and I tell you, you're 18 years old, I no longer have to take care of you. Did you look up that law and rule? So take them
Right.
out of my house if they don't want to abide by my rules. And then when it came back to, to bite them a little bit, they were like, wait, no, 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 no. Well, no, you have to deal with your actions now. Your actions have now made me react in a very negative way. You called the police on me. Now it came back to reverse. And, it's great to have the world at your fingertips. I wish I had that knowledge, at the age of 12 and 14 and 15. 16, 17, 18, but I would have delved a little bit deeper and like, and what's the repercussions of that? Because you
Right.
always with one rule, there's always another one that combats that. So you always have to look at your things and be like, is this going to be worth it when I press 911? Is this really going to be in my favor when I do this? And then it turned out not to be. And then it was like, you can't take that back now because you got a duffel bag on your shoulder and you're just heading out my door. You know, that's what I'm talking about, the
Right.
authority and knowing when to use that information that you have at your fingertips for your benefit and not for your benefit. So that's just my thoughts on it. That's why I said I'm a little fearful for Gen Z. I'm a fearful for
Gen Z.
Gen Z when it comes to authority. And that's just my thoughts on it.
Okay, so my next question is, why do you think Gen Z is the most hated generation?
Just because we're more aware and more outspoken. Like we're more opinionated.
That right there. Yeah, she knows it. I'm like, she knows it. What about you, David?
Reason why we're most hated? I'll say the reason why we're most hated is, well, number one, we don't know how to take no for an answer. It's number one. Number two, I'll say because, again, since we have more resources than the old generation and we know more, we're not finna listen to what you guys got to say because y'all don't know what we know.
Right.
That's another one. And another thing is because we're just not letting things like slide as back then, how you guys let things slide with like, oh, how you guys couldn't, what was the rule? Like nobody was coming out, you know what I'm saying they're gay, trans, none of that. This generation don't care what y'all got to say. And they're going to do it probably with or without y'all consent. So.
Okay, so I want to say something to that because I always got to clap back. I think that you guys are the most hated generation because you are free-spirited. Free-spirited means multiple layers to that, right? When it goes to the whole thing, we know more than you do. You can't because we lived it. So you can't know more than me. I've been rebellious. I told my mother no. I moved out at 16. I did my own thing. I've lived it. And I actually moved into a studio apartment at 16 years old with $500 in my pocket. So you guys haven't lived the same way that we lived. We had to live to survive. And that makes a little bit harder and tougher where we do have the ideologies about a lot of the gayness because it wasn't spoken about. We still accept those things. We still approve those things. I have 2 gay children in my household, and I got to tell you, I like their girlfriends better than I liked any boy that came in my house and stood in front of my other daughter's faces. So I mean, I can't really say that because I'm a woman, so I'm gonna understand another woman before I understand another guy. You get what I'm saying? So I approve of those relationships. I'm like, what are you about? What are you here for? Like, I get that. I can communicate and understand that component of it. So we're not as close-minded, not all of us, as you think. So it just depends on who you pick your battle with, who you had that conversation with. Because I tell my daughters every time. One time my daughter came to me and said, I don't think I'm into guys. I have to look her in her face and said, I understand. I don't think I like them sometime either, but it's for a different reason. I'm not talking about the intimacy component. I'm talking about the mental and emotional component of it. As long as that person is treating my child right and not disrespecting them or harming them anyway, I approve. I don't care if you're a guy, girl, cat, dog, boy, a skittle, I don't care. But I mean, that's just my stance on it. But I think that's where it comes from. I think the underlying disdain for Gen Z is simply because you guys are more free-spirited. You guys are open to say what your opinions are and what you think and your thoughts are, but a lot of it, we did it before too. We lived it. We're living it right now. I still say no sometimes to my bosses, and sometimes I still say no to people that want me to do something and I don't want to comply. But that's me and my 20-year-old self and being stubborn. And then when it sometimes strikes me still, I'm like, oh, that's a problem. How do I renege on that and go back out of it? Think about that. So it's like I'm now humble enough and old enough and wise enough when to retreat versus when you guys are young and don't know when to retreat. That's a big difference. That's a learning skill right there. You have to live in moments in order to know when to calculate that movement and when not to. That's my thoughts.
I'm learning with them. I mean, because I have Gen Z children also, so I'm learning the do's and the don'ts and the free-spirited children. Look, rubbing my fingertips. So I get you guys, but that's all for my questions.
Look, let's all be real here, right? A lot of folks are mad because these kids can go on their phone and make $3,000 a month doing dances. You know what I mean? Let's be real. It's kind of hard for these, for these young folks to sit there and take you serious when they know you get $60,000 in student loan debt and they make $2-3 grand a month just BSing on the phone. Well, there's a reason why student loan debt is such a big issue, is such a hot button topic right now. So a lot of people are stuck with tens and tens of thousands of student loan debt. So
Okay.
yeah, when you hear people, they start complaining about, the youth this and the kid that, is because they ain't dumb. They got the receipts. They got the receipts. You can explain it away and say every this, that, and the third, but they know what it is. They know how to make money differently than we do. We, especially as Gen Xers, we were told what? Go to school, get an education, you'll find a great job.
Right.
Nobody
Yeah.
told them that them liberal arts degrees weren't going to be worth anything.
Mm.
People got them anyway. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that if you wanted to major in English, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be an English teacher. But you got the degree, you got the tens of thousands of dollars of student loan debt. Here are these young people going, no, I'd rather take a trade, or I got something popping online that's paying me money. You go ahead and enjoy your student loan debt.
That's great, Victor.
Mm.
Then what happens when they make that money on TikTok and all those other apps and dancing around for $3,000 a week, and then they don't know what to do with that finance and that money? So that's a big difference. And that's what I'm talking about, life skills. That's why I said they can't be no more than us, because we actually are living it. Who tells you about, your investments? Who tells you, what to invest in? Who tells you about 401k? Who teaches you about, your health insurance? Who teaches you guys about, see, all of that stuff? It's like, you can go and make fast money. But then when they turn your account off, or you get banned or restricted or something to
Right.
that effect, I've seen a lot of these YouTube kids go and they commit suicide when they start getting information and they get banned. And then you put your life at risk and you want to end it because you don't get the $3,000 check anymore. And now you got to go out
Right.
here in the real world and figure out how to make it without that money or that stream of money. And I think that's really what it comes down to. It's great. It's great that they have those resources. I never, ever would go against it and say, don't go get a 9 to 5. By all means, you young, please go do it. But make sure you know how to invest it. Make sure you know how to save. Make sure you have certain information so that way when you get a next investment, I'll give David as a perfect example. He said a backup, which is a trade.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's
Mm-hmm.
perfect. Do your dance on TikTok. Make $3,000. But when your knee give out, David,
Right.
your knee give out, you're not able to dance anymore, or break that move anymore, or bust that move, I should say. That's what we used to call it. But you can't bust that move anymore. And you're like, well, what do I have to follow out? That trade will be there as a great handy thing. But you can't simply just go based on like, oh, college. College isn't the answer either. I've never said that. College isn't the answer either, because not everybody's book smart. So you can go to a college and you after the first year be, under stress and be duress, and you want to be like, I can't take this anymore either. Because college suicides and overdosing and alcoholism is right there in the rankings
Is that
too.
yep.
So, that's what I was going to say. So that's not necessarily the answer either. I went to, school, and I've seen several people drop out. 2 girls lost their life. It's very sad, but that wasn't the answer for those individuals. If they had known, oh, I could go get a trade, or I could have went to a vocational school, or I could have had another outlet, or I could have, easily, sat there and built reports and built something that was independently my own, or create a YouTube account and start a podcast like myself. Like, you have different revenues and different things that you can look into. You just have to research and see what your niche is. You
Yeah.
get you get what I mean? You just have to have a backup.
Yes, as far as how to manage the money, that kind of falls on our generation to teach them better. Because again, it's their first time out. But
Yeah,
we shouldn't despise them for the advantages that they inherently have. Because we had advantages our parents didn't have. So
yeah.
Right.
it's something that their children will have advantages that their children that they weren't going to have. I can imagine what it's going to look like 30 years from now with the way
Oh.
technology moves. It's going to be insane.
Okay. What are your thoughts on that? All those statements that we made. We're Gen X, so we don't have the same thought process, and that's why I said you can't know more than us, because we've lived it. If I told you about my financial career and my construction career, what does that mean to you at the end of the day when you can get a $3,000 check per dance or whatever the case may be, whatever Victor referenced from TikTok, because I'm not knowing of that app, so I'm like, yeah, whatever they get to monetize.
Oh, side note, right? I watched the All-Star game, and this is the first time I ever felt really old, because I'm like, who the hell are these people in this celebrity All-Star game?
Okay.
And it was
I don't
nothing
watch
but
sports,
social
I'm
media
allergic.
influencers. Social media influencers and football players. So that lets me know that the days of what is possible are totally different from what they have for what we.
Right.
You know, you had a whole different line of gatekeepers to get into certain things. Now these kids are circumventing that. They're coming up with their own apps. They're doing a lot of other things to make themselves some money.
I do know who Kai Cenat was, so that was an advantage. So like it's just like certain ones that come into your feed on a more regular basis. Those are the ones that I know of. But
That's the
and I
same way
know
I know
Ice
them.
Spices and certain and other people. But I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna go listen to Ice Spice because that's not my wave. But I will
Right.
put her on my video if I feel that she's gonna give me the views that I want. Hello, thank you, Ice Spice. So like.
Yes, we got our
You know what I'm
thumbnail.
saying? Like
And
we use them to our advantage if we could
is
possibly, right? That's just the way it is, I think that's everything though. If Salt and Pepper was hot right now, I'd throw them on the track too and put them and see how many views I could get to that. So any
Right.
thoughts from that, David and Jordan? I'll start with Jordan first because David went a lot first. So Jordan, what are your thoughts on that feedback that you heard us talk? You heard us babble for quite a minute. What are your thoughts on that, on what we said? We said a lot of nothing. So
and that's what they
to
sitting
them,
over
they
here
don't
looking like.
understand that. They don't understand a lot of the things that we were expressing and explaining. But what are your thoughts on that, Jordan? What we stated?
Older generations say like, oh, you can never know more than I know because I have more experience. But like I said before, the world is changing and we know more about the world that we created more than you do.
Hello.
All right. You think you created the world? Okay. I'm gonna
Yeah,
let you
like
get that.
like
I'm gonna let you get
the world that it is right now,
Mhm.
Gen Z created that. Earlier generations created that. Like older generations your time has passed.
I want to say creating. I want to say you're creating, not created. Because if you look at the era now, this is what my parents created right now. This is actually what they did to the world. And I want to say what we did to the world be the next 5 years, what you guys are doing and enforcing, because you're not old enough to really put things in effect that's really going to be affecting like the world in its totality just yet. When 22 to 25-year-old Jordan, you get what I'm coming from? Start to put things in place. Then I can be like, oh, this is what Jordan has built. This is what Jordan and David has built because I can see now the effects and cause of what they created in this world for Gen Z. This honestly, and I say it to everybody, I'm like, it takes 10 to 15 years to see the past years, effects on the world. When you talk about freedom, right? Think about that. When we talk about freedom and slavery and things like that, I honestly say to this day, we're not 100% free. So our parents laid a foundation of freedom, but we're not 100% free in every aspect. There's still slavery in parts of this world. You guys are aware of that, right? So y'all have some work to do. We have some work to do. Y'all have even more work to do once we drop it and you guys have to pick it back up. You get that? So I don't even want to say you built anything just yet. You're creating the world and what you want it to be in the next 5 to 10 years. Because 25-year-old Jordan is going to be great, but 35-year-old Jordan, phenomenal. Like, you get what I'm saying? That's like, it's a big difference in what you can do at the age of 17 versus what you do at 25 and 35. Then I could say you built, because that will be your foundation, where right now it's just a foundation. You're not in a building yet. You're not even on the second, third, fourth, fifth floor yet. So right now we're just talking, you're right at the foundation part of it, Jordan, to me, because you're still in a part of learning and understanding what all that knowledge at your fingertips can do for you. I hope that doesn't go over anybody's head. You guys are so young that in the next 10 to 15 years, you guys, the effects on the world will be so drastic. It will really mean something then.
I just want to say my generation apologizes in advance for when the economy really hits the bottom. Because it's like, yo, we ain't
I ain't
know.
apologizing because I got me in that bag.
We let them boomers lead us and we messed y'all up pretty bad. So,
I was just going to say that it's like a circle. The boomers did it to us and look at us. It's all about teaching them and them listening.
I know that's the hard part. They're not listening. They won't listen because they're like, no, we know. We're gonna invest. We're gonna look up some investments and we're gonna figure it out on our own. And then, like, I read a story about this kid that was like, he made so much money, and I forgot how he made his money, but he was a young kid. He had to be like 23 years old. And then he's like, and by the time I was 30, I was broke. And I was like, please explain. Like, and he invested in the wrong business and he put his money in the wrong freaking investments. And then lo and behold, 5 years later, this kid is broke. And I'm like, man, I wish somebody would have instructed him what to do with that millions of dollars. Like, I wish I was a bug in his ear whispering like, invest in Pepsi and Google and this, that. but it's but so much you can take on when you don't want to heed a warning or when you don't want to listen.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I understand, right? Like the three of us, me, you, Ty, and Kira, like we don't take financial advice from the unhappy. Not because they're not smart, not because some of them are not wise. It's because I only can go by what you show me.
Right. Yep.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, this kid is bringing in, tens of millions and hundreds of thousands of dollars, or tens of millions of dollars in some of these cases.
Mhm.
Yeah, maybe their parent can tell them something, which is their job to establish that sort of rapport early in life, so that they
Yep.
feel comfortable enough to come to them. Because the response is often going to be, well, but you got more than me.
I mean, I'm still in the middle, agree and disagree.
Mm.
Like I agree on stuff you said and stuff that Jordan said. So I don't
Mhm.
really have any comments.
Okay, I appreciate that. So if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna dive into your personal a little bit. We're gonna talk about love and dating. I like this little subject. That's why I made sure that I was the one directing it, because I like to get in your business just a little bit, So I'm gonna pull my little phone closer because I'm blind too. So, so what are your thoughts on love and marriage? I'm gonna start with you, Jordan. Let's start with love. What are your thoughts on love, Jordan?
It's really, really hard. Like right now, it is not something that I enjoy because of it's how hard it is, especially in this generation. Like a lot of people aren't open to it. And marriage, I'm still pretty young, so I think I would like to be married, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay, David, thoughts on love?
My thoughts on love,
Yeah.
like she said, it's hard. I use when someone says love, I take that as something like meaningful, like really big, not just thrown around. So I feel like it's hard to find love mostly in this generation, And I do want to get married one day. I do want to get married, settle down, have a kid, family. But in this generation, it's just hard to find love or just the right one.
The one thing that I did know is that David said, I want to get married one day. And to me, it always is a male's stance on the decision of marriage. So, and I'm saying that because Jordan could walk this earth for the next 20 years. And if she wants to get married, she doesn't have the trigger to be like, okay, will you marry me and put a ring on a guy's finger? A guy has to feel so strong in love with her that he makes that action noted. It's frowned upon when women do it, but it's very much a big thing when a male decides to take that action and do it. So knowing that you want to get married, David, you could lead that relationship into something very, very much more successful because you have that. I want to say the males have the power to actually make that determination and decision on marriage versus a woman that may want to be married. If she doesn't meet that right mate that feels the same way about her, the chances are very much slimmer. What do you guys feel about that? Are you for modernization in couples and relationships where women are taking the charge and lead, and where it comes to, leading to the I guess I want to say to the marriage, Do you feel that that's, something that you frown upon, or you guys for it?
Like, you're asking if a woman should ask a male to marry them?
Yeah.
Basically,
Absolutely.
How I feel
Because
about
you
that?
said, I want to be married, right, David? You said, I want to be married. So if you have a girlfriend, tomorrow, you could wake up and be like, I'm gonna marry her. But if Jordan wants to get married in 2 years, she gonna wake up and be like, well, damn, I gotta wait for him to be ready to marry me. Right. It's a big difference, so my statement is, do you think in future generations that it will be reversed, where a woman would be comfortable enough with the male to be like, okay, I'm going to make that decision and say, hey, do you want to marry me? Because we clown when we see women do that today. We be like, oh, she put her whole self out here like that, and it don't look good. But what are your thoughts on it for your future generation?
Yes. Do I agree with it? No. I feel like there's nothing wrong with a female asking a man to marry them, but it's just in my eyes, if a female were to ask me, I'm gonna feel a type of way because it's like the roles are supposed to be reversed. A man is supposed to be doing that, neither than a female. So, but I do believe in the future, that's going to be, just a regular thing, female proposing to men. Am I going to agree with it? No, but
so David, let me ask you, you're not going to be standing there getting all giddy. You're not going to be all giddy when she's down on bended knee.
I was just gonna ask the same question. I
If
mean,
she
if a
is to
female,
me,
Yeah,
like,
because the tradition is that the man is posting, propose engagement to the woman on a bended knee with the ring extended.
mhm.
Are you going to be the one standing there while your lady gets down on bended knee and extends the ring to you and tries to put it on your finger?
Yeah, no.
That's so literal. I don't even want to say the woman gets on bended knee. You could find more romantic ways of doing it as a woman and be like, not on one of my bended knee. It doesn't have to be the traditions. Obviously, they're getting out of our traditions. So let's scrap the whole bended knee. Let's say your
not
wife
all
or
of
your
them.
girlfriend, let's say your girlfriend wakes up next to you and there's a pillow, there's a ring on your pillow. And she's like, hey, babe, I love you. You love me. Let's go do this. You accepting that ring to be like, yeah, I'm right there with it. I'm with the shits. Let's go. You gonna say it?
I'm gonna be with it, but I'm gonna have to propose.
Oh,
So we're
you're
gonna
gonna
have to,
still have to
Oh,
take the action
so
yeah,
to
we're gonna have to
propose.
do like a redo.
Oh, yeah.
um,
Redo. He's
Not
like,
even
no,
that
I'm taking the
tradition,
lead
but
of
huh?
this.
why wouldn't you accept a marriage proposal from a female?
I don't know. I just feel like as a man should be doing that, not a female. I feel like it's
Right.
a man's role to be doing that instead of a female doing that. It just doesn't feel right with me. I feel
Right.
like if a female were to do that, like that's feminine on the male's part.
On the males.
Yep. Yep.
So it just doesn't feel
You
right
guys
with
are
me.
keeping a little bit of our ideologies then. You are keeping a
Right.
little bit of the ideologies that we have because we always believe that it's the male place to kind of lead that. And before I even get into that, Jordan, please give us your
Yeah,
feelings
Jordan.
on that because she may not feel the same way. She may be like,
Right.
forget that. If I want to get married tomorrow and my man is with me for a year or two, I'm gonna go step to him and say, will you marry me? What are your thoughts?
So I think I agree and disagree. For me
You gotta
personally,
love that. I agree, but I disagree. Y'all love that statement today. That's
like
gonna be the highlight of this
I'm
one.
not getting on my knee and asking a man to marry. Like I'm not gonna do that. But however, I think a lot of people associate masculine with male and feminine with female, and it's not. That's actually not how it goes. Like everyone has masculine and feminine tendencies. Everyone has masculine and feminine energy, and you just are what you are. Some people are more masculine, like my mom. She's a more masculine woman than she is feminine. And everyone is different. So I think for other people that may work for them, but for me, like I'm a more feminine person. I'm not getting on my knees.
That's what I was about to say. Will you wake up next to him and be like, will you marry me? Because it's been 2 years and the time is
Absolutely.
ticking and I need
Absolutely.
to
I will
go.
just wait. I'll just wait. Like
You'll
I'm
just
not
wait?
gonna do it.
But when does that become
Yes.
a conversation amongst
I
the two of you where that leads to it eventually? Would you be bold enough to have that conversation to lead him to, you said you love me. Come on now, what are we doing with it? Would you be comfortable in having that conversation?
I don't think you need to be married to someone to know that you love each other.
Mm.
Like a lot of people live their whole lives being just partners, not having to be married or like having that bond. You don't need that to know that you love someone.
Mm.
So yeah, it's not necessary.
Okay. How about you, David? Do you feel that though? Do you feel that you'd be confident to have that conversation before it leads to a proposal? Would you have to talk to if you didn't feel that they were moving in the same direction of a relationship, longevity?
Like have talk about marriage with my significant other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
If you
think
feel that
that's
they're
fine
not
having
moving
a
in that
talk.
direction. I'm
Yeah, I
sorry.
feel like having a conversation about where you guys' mindset is. I feel like that's perfectly fine. We can have a talk. It's just don't propose to me.
whatever you do,
Don't
just
you
don't
dare try
propose
to
to me.
would that turn you off and you want out I'm curious, would that turn you off and you not want to be in a relationship if you see that she takes that lead first?
I wouldn't say it would turn me off. If she wants to, if she wanted to talk to me about marriage, if anything, that would make me more certain and actually make me think about, okay, well, this girl wants to marry me. And then that probably make me I'll say analyze and how do I say, analyze things that she's doing to see if I really want to marry her, or this is where I want to go in the future. So I want to say it would turn me off. If anything, that would be okay, that actually probably make me happy. And I'll start thinking if I want to marry her and then we'll go from there. But as to proposing me, nah.
Okay.
But we can talk about it though.
Okay. All right. So then, David, I'm gonna turn you to the next question. It says, tell us about your dating experiences. Is that Levi? Tell us about your dating
Uh,
experience, your love experiences.
I don't really date. Is not because I have been in a relationship. My longest relationship was 2 years.
Mm.
It was good. Had our ups and downs, but I feel as in like relationship wise, I don't like dating in this generation because I feel as in like it's hard to find like the right one. And when I say the right one, like you got a lot of since social media is out, everyone's looking at social media and then trying to put that into their relationship. Like I think I
Right.
saw a list like of a girl made places where not to go, like Cheesecake Factory and all that, and that starts to get in like and play into people's relationship, and that can either break or that can ruin or make it better. But I don't really like dating in this relationship. I mean, in this generation, people are different, the women are different. Uh, I just I would like to get married. Like if I find the right one, I'm gonna settle down with her. But I feel like it's harder to find. It's hard to get in a relationship and get married than it was in the past because how different these females are acting.
Do you feel that the females are much harder than males are now, and they take that lead on like what they want in a relationship and what they will settle for versus what they won't settle for?
I mean, I'll say yes and no, which that's perfectly fine. Like if a girl knows what she wants, that's perfectly fine. But like I was watching the podcast not too long ago, and some dude made a valid point. When like females scream, like when females are independent, they scream, "I'm independent. I don't need no dude, this and that." But when a male screams independent, he's looking to better his family and the people around him than a female. And it was like, it's okay that a girl knows what she wants. That's perfectly fine. It's just that like I feel like there's different roles in a relationship. Like, the male is supposed to be the provider, protector, the female is supposed to be doing this. And like with this generation, a lot of females are very disrespectful, in my opinion. They're very disrespectful. You say something to them, even if it's a compliment, they'll take it as disrespect and just start going off on you. So I feel like it's very hard to find, and it's mostly because of social media. Because like I Spy, I think we got Sexy Red, and it's like if you over here looking up the Sexy Red, I'm pretty sure we all know who Sexy Red is, right? We all do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
over
we
here
got
looking up, yeah, and we all know what she's doing on her internet, and yes, that's like your favorite person. And you look at her, like, why would I want to be with a female that does that? That doesn't even respect her body. So I feel as in like it's hard, mostly in this generation.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we apologize for that because the boomers brought us that sort of mindset. And we pass that on to our children. And this "I don't need a man" thing it's propaganda because at the end of the day, we all need each other.
And that's
I
not
didn't.
necessarily true because I didn't raise my
Yeah.
daughters to say that. I did raise my daughters to be independent women, knowing they need a mate or a partner as long as they're treating them well and not knocking down their own self-worth. It's a difference when you're teaching your kids value versus devalue. And I want to say
Right.
that because it's not all. I want to say that because I know a lot of us live in city areas. And when you see that, like, you see, I want to say there's a certain type, a photo type. And when you see the mother and you meet the mother, you're like, oh, I don't want that phototype because the daughter's going to mimic that bad behavior. You could usually tell it from the parental figure that's in their life. If there's a male in the household, if there's not a male in the household, it's depending on how they speak and how they're respectful. If they're respectful to elders, I heard both of you say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. So that tells me immediately what I'm dealing with mentally. You know what I'm saying? You could tell that you both were raised in a household where you were taught, rules, regulations, and structure. So it's not necessarily, I want to say all Black households and families are that way. And that's why I'm not apologizing in behalf because I raised my kids to be better
No.
than that. And I know your parents raised you both to be better than that as well. So I don't want to blame the boomers because my mother she would never, she would see that bad behavior and I would be on punishment and I would be in my room for the lifetime. So there was no Sexy Red being played in my house. You would read the Bible instead, okay? That's what punishment she would give you. You go read that chapter of the Bible in Genesis through 115 9,000 times, and then I'll circle back to check on you. That's grueling. But I could tell by the conversations that I have with the younger generations what their environment is like. And that's what you would be able to do, David. You would have to sit around a female and be like, oh, what is she saying? What is her sentence structure? Does she have value? Does she know how to value herself? And I think that's how you would be able to differentiate. The problem with that is it takes effort. that means you're gonna have to be on the phone weeks on end, because some people like to present a false narrative in the beginning, but once they can't keep it up, they can't keep that falseness up. They can't keep it up. Eventually, they're gonna crack under pressure, or you're gonna hear them talk to somebody that come in their room, or you're gonna go hear them going off. You're like, oh, that's not who I thought she was. I'm out of here.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you have to know when to get out of there. That's the whole thing. You have to know when to run. So
That's
Right.
most
yeah,
important.
yeah, you're gonna have to know when that red flag is up and you need to exit the stage left, and get out of that situation. Jordan, I'm gonna turn the question to you. Tell us your dating and love experiences.
My longest relationship was 3 months. It was hard. I'm not gonna lie. It was really hard. And there were times where I didn't like the person that I was with. Like I just didn't like them. I couldn't believe that I was with them. I was always like, it was always like a war in my mind. Like, is this really what I want? Is this really what I want to do? But I think like I haven't had much experience with dating and love, because like that was my first relationship ever. So I don't really know much yet. I want to know more, but not yet though.
Yeah.
That's no problem. That's understandable.
I-
And I mean, you're early on in a relationship stages and everything, once you get some experience under your belt, it's good. You acknowledge the red flag, which that's a hard lesson right there for women to walk away from. We like, well, let's see
Right.
what's going to happen. You have women in their, 30s and 40s that's going through that and still sticking around to see what comes next. And it may be very toxic and they won't leave it simply just to have the value of, oh, I have a man type of conversation. And it's not their man. It's not the situation, the scenario that's positive for them. So I commend you for knowing to walk away and to get out of that relationship. I don't care if it's 3 months or 3 years. You walked away from something you felt wasn't within your spirit, and that's a great thing. So you acknowledge that. I give you points for that and kudos for that. Do you guys have an age preference when you look at love and potential of your next mate? Is it an age preference that you have? Would you date someone
Yeah,
older or someone younger?
definitely age preference. Definitely no one younger. If they're going to be younger, like I'm 19, they got to at least be 18, about to turn 19 this year. Would I date somebody older?
Mhm.
Yes. I'll say like the limit. I'm 19, so I think the oldest I'll date 21, 22.
That's not
Yeah.
cougar for you? Go ahead. You were saying something, Victor. I'm sorry.
I'm saying that's a perfect age group for you because obviously you don't want to go younger because now you're risking your own freedom, and you definitely don't want to go too older because it's
You
not really
definitely
safe
risking your
for young
freedom.
men to deal with a lot of older women, huh?
I said you're still gonna be risking your freedom if you go older, depending if you got
No,
Miss
I
Mabel who
mean,
want to make
yeah,
you
I
neck
mean,
bones.
yeah, you lose a lot of your freedom, but again, it's not very healthy for younger men to seriously date older women that are exceeding age past where they are because they know the world a little differently. They tend to know things that you don't, and it's not always the healthiest thing for you, at least for your maturation and how you're going to be dealing with women going forward. It would be best for you to stay kind of in your age range.
Jordan, your age preference. Do you have one? And what is it?
Yes, I definitely have one. Cannot be younger than me. Like I'm not bending on that at all. That is not my vibe. But 17 to 19 is my age preference. Not too much older than me, but cannot be younger than me.
Okay, so do you guys have lists of wants when it comes to love?
Like, would I look in the female?
Yeah. What do you look for? And then
Yes.
what are your wants? Are you willing to break those wants that you have? Do you have a list?
I want to say a list, but I know what I want. I'll say in a female, I want someone that has goals, that respects herself, respect others, that doesn't smoke, because I don't smoke. I don't smoke. Or like someone that loves going to the club, partying, dancing, drinking. I don't drink, or you'll never see me at a party, really. So just someone that has goals, knows what they want in life, respectful, kind. That's really. Am I willing to break those once? I'm be honest with you, probably not. No, I will not break those once.
So strong in your conviction already, huh?
I was gonna say he's stuck in his ways already.
I know. I was about to say he's strong
Yeah.
and he took a stance. He was like this,
Right.
this.
Yeah, she can drink. Yeah, that's fine. When I say
Yeah.
drink, like if she wants to go out with her friends and take a sip, that's perfectly fine. But I'm talking about someone that wants to party every day and get drunk, like crazy
Oh yeah,
drunk.
yeah.
I'm not doing that. Someone that
Okay.
smokes, spends all their money, time trying to get weed, I'm not doing that either.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm just not doing that.
Really smart.
But
That's really, really
she's
smart.
she's okay to drink. If she wants to go out, for a quick drink, or they go to the bar, that's perfectly fine. Just don't be always want to get drunk every single day and go to the club, because that's gonna make you more poor.
So Jordan, do you have a list of wants when it comes to love?
Respecting yourself, definitely.
Mhm.
Respecting me, other people, having good morals, being yourself.
What would you like to tell your opposite gender is most important to you in life, and where would they fit in at?
I think I would tell the opposite gender, like just communicate. Be an effective communicator, be an effective listener, because if you can't communicate, then you can't listen.
I'm gonna agree with Jordan. Communication, don't be closed off, because I'm speaking from experience. When you don't communicate or you're closed off, that tends to ruin the relationship. And even though if you're like, I'd say if you're going through some stuff with family or just going through things and you don't want that person to be a part of what you're going through, you might think that's helping, but in reality, that's actually hurting the other person, making her feel not loved. So I'll say definitely communication, not close off. Oh, and don't lie, just tell the truth.
Just a little bit, right? We could lie a little
Yes.
bit, right?
Just a
Nah,
tiny bit.
Just a little bit, right? Just a little bit.
nah.
I couldn't see my face just this much.
Hey, you
I'm
see,
barely
you see why
touching.
Gen Z don't. You see why Gen Z don't trust us because we lie just a little bit. They like don't lie.
We tell a
little
white
bit,
lie
no.
every now and again. I can't tell you. I tell a white lie every once a day. I always ask God for forgiveness afterwards, though. So,
Yeah.
but to be in all seriousness, David, I think that what you said is very true. I like the fact that you both sound so much more mature than what you are. I don't know who raised y'all, but I mean, I know who raised y'all, but I'm like, I don't know where you guys got that maturity from. And I don't know if it's a generational thing. I don't think it is, because I see other, kids your age that's not like-minded and that, a little bit more reckless. Hence some of the statements that you made earlier, especially with the gunplay and the fighting and things like that, and then getting into situations that they shouldn't be involved in. So, I mean, I want to commend both of you for the maturity level to answer that question. I think I want to ask now, David, where would they fit in your life?
Like, what were they fitting in my life?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Like, where would they fit in my life?
So when you were saying that don't be vulnerable, be more open and, make sure that they have the communication, and what aspect would that fit in? Will you see now David, 19 years old, would that be, today your future relationship, or is that what you're walking into when you want to be married or building a relationship? Is that something that they must have up front? And where would you see that, like currently in your life or future?
Well, I'll say not up front, because a lot of people like me, it's hard for me to show vulnerability or open up. That's some things I struggle with. So, but at least as long as you're trying to, I feel like, not up front, because everyone has these things they're going through. But I'll say if you're making an effort and actually improving during their relationship, then that's a good thing. But definitely not up front, because everyone has the things they're going through. You still got to know about that person. You don't know nothing about that person, so you're not going to want to open up to that person. So I'll say as time, progresses and y'all build closer and closer, then okay, you should start being more vulnerable. But that's where it plays in, relationship side, not married side, because I don't want to be married. We've been together for 5 years, and now you're starting to open up, and I'm starting to figure out who you are and stuff.
That sounds amazing, by the way. So education, is education important for our future generations, David?
Is education important for our future generation?
Yeah.
I'll say yes. At first, I was like, I hate education, education's not important, but now as I gotten older, I feel as an education is important, like going to school is important. Not necessarily college, but mostly high school. I feel like that's very important because I think for me, I feel like high school, even though I didn't really learn nothing, but it basically how do I say it? It basically gave me a structure of like a schedule, So
Yeah.
I'll
Mhm.
say I wasn't a fan of high school at all. I hated going there, but I feel education plays a big role, because if you don't know nothing, ain't nobody gonna want, you're not gonna get paid for nothing. So I feel
Mhm.
as an education does play a big role for our future.
I want to say that the school structure was designed 100% for that, for structure. You wake up at 6:30 to be somewhere by 8 o'clock. That sets the presence to where you join the workforce and actually have to go to a job, to have that schedule set up. It's kind of embedded in your brain. It's like, what is it? Autopilot. You kind of be like on autopilot. You have to get up, shower, get dressed, get your day started, prep for the day before. So that way you're prepared for it. And I think it's sad to say we have a school curriculum actual podcast segment where we delve into the school curriculum, how it's more designed for women than it is men. And I think Victor was the one that led us to that actual statement, because he was telling us, he said, as a young male, you want to use your hands. You don't want to sit in a classroom for 8 hours, but that's what you're forced to do. Women can sit still because we're designed to be administrators. I'm not saying that's all we know how to do, but we're very administrative in thought and secretarial in thought. So the old school ideologies when they built schools and classrooms was mainly for girls. They didn't never go back and rewrite the code for males to join into the school curriculum system. And it's unfortunate because, if they had woodwork and shop and things like that, you guys would have been, probably leading a lot of those careers, because we still do need those trades. So earlier when you said, oh, I want to go to school to become an electrician or whatever, that's the stuff that's needed. A plumber, electrician, a mechanic. We need all of those things, because guess what? Those jobs are still out there. They're just not prominent jobs because no one wants to be a blue collar worker.
Right.
They don't think of blue collar worker in 6-figure salaries. So, and that's not necessarily true, because you could be a blue collar worker and own your own company and get an LLC, and you could really be driving that thing once you get licensed, and you'll be beyond a 6-figure salary. So, I mean, that even that thought of process of the old school, mentality is such a false statement. You could be so much bigger with that trade, and you get your license. You could do a million things with it. So I want to actually acknowledge that, because it's not necessarily just education; it's also the trade that you learn and knowing what to do with it and how to build upon it. And even the education that you get, you even still have to know how. If I don't get a job and I'm, I will let you guys know, I have a degree in nursing. Do I use it? Absolutely not. I do not work in a hospital. I met, a lot of people. I work in construction and I work in accounting. So what does that mean? My nursing degree, I got a degree. And that's the only thing that jobs really care about. Oh, she got a degree. She knows how to communicate. She knows how to, navigate her way through, rules and regulations and structures. So good. Let's get her into this job and pay her blank dollars because she got a degree. That's that, you don't even have to specialize in what that field that you got your degree in. As long as you have a degree, you can take it and go with that. I actually applied for a teacher job and they was willing to give it to me because I had a degree. And I was like, what? I would chokehold one of these kids. Like, especially the kids now that's disrespectful. I'm like, oh, we would be fighting in that classroom. We would be thumping it out. Like, they do not want this sauce. But I think about that sometimes. I'm like, what are the qualifications to become a teacher nowadays? It's crazy. It's just no lie, a degree. They don't even care what it specializes in. So that's just nuts to me.
Exactly.
Jordan, is education important for our future generations? What are your thoughts?
Yes, I do think it is important. My mom always says like education is the key between the life you want to live and the life that you have to live. And if you don't have an education, you are going to struggle.
Right. Yeah. Your mother Smith sound like a smart woman, because that is the truth. I said to someone, you can't live $20 an hour and want to live in a penthouse. It's not possible. So, and if you do, you want to be scheming and scamming people like nobody's business, so there's some truth behind that. How can we ensure quality education for all children in our future? Jordan, you want to go with that one? You wish you made him go first, so that you went first the last time, right? See? So
Um, I think we need to do better in making it unique to everyone because everyone is different and people learn differently. There are different learning styles, so I think just making it unique to everyone, I think is the best way to make it better for everybody.
would you think it would be best for a child or, someone with a career path to create their own agenda and classes and curriculum and electives? Would you think that would be better instead of the school giving you the points and credits that they feel you need to be successful in life?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. David, your thoughts?
Uh, yeah, I really do agree with Jordan. I do believe school is important, even though I don't like it, but I feel like it's important. But I feel as in like when you're in math class, for an example, you were taught to solve a math problem exactly the way they solved it, and some people solve it different. And if you end up solving it different, the math teachers over here, oh, that's not how you solve it. You got to solve it this way. So I feel it like they need to change it in that aspect, and if also in the aspect if I want to become like an accountant, why are they putting me in these type of classes like PE or what else? History, for an example, because that has nothing to do with my career. Yes, it can help. Like I'm learning things, but it doesn't teach me anything I need to know about being an accountant. So I do
Mm.
feel like the education does need to change in that aspect, but I do feel as education is very important.
Do you think the school systems failed you?
Do I feel like it failed me?
Mhm.
I want to say it didn't fail me. I don't believe it failed me because even though I didn't learn things, I learned things. So like I learned how to wake up on time, discipline. I was in school early all the time, never be late. So it did teach you structure and discipline. So I wouldn't say it failed me, but in the aspect of teaching me something, mostly because I didn't want to learn that and that didn't do had nothing to do with my career. It failed me in that aspect.
Okay.
So it has its up and downs, really.
Okay, so the
So,
sociable skills, I think the sociable skills and structure is what it taught you. I'm thinking more so, did it fail you from the curriculum standpoint in the academic? Can you balance,
Yes,
or know how to save or see your way through, budgeting and financing your life? Can you
yeah,
see that? Do you know where to invest and how to go to those things? I think if they taught you those things in school, we
mhm.
would be much more successful individuals as not just from your generation. I'm saying all generations, because even me, like you said, we learn arithmetic, multiplication and division. That's great, but I at least got to know what the value of my dollar is and how far it can go. No one tells you that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's what I'm speaking of when I say, do you think the school system failed you in not teaching you the critical things to, I guess, survive in life?
yes, I do. It did feel like in school they don't teach about financial literacy at all. I'm just now
Mhm.
starting to get into financial literacy, and like I did not know anything about investment, index. I didn't know about none of that. So
Yeah.
I feel like school doesn't prepare you for the real world, as in like money wise. Because if I make $1 million right now, I'm not gonna know what to do with it. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
learn on my own. Could potentially lose that $1 million because I didn't have no type of
Right.
studies on financial literacy, how to invest, how to save, where to put my money in. Do I put it in a index? Do I put it in this stock? So it did fail me in that aspect. I had to learn on my own, which I'm still learning. So it definitely failed me in that.
Okay. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Because no one teaches you about IRA, a Roth, a 401k.
Right.
They don't tell you what you put your money in as an investment. They don't tell you you know, how other, I want to say ethnicities stay rich. You know what I mean? How does a rich family stay rich? You know how they do that, right? They don't spend cash. They don't spend money on their actual card. Debit cards don't exist to them. They use credit cards. And I'm like, no one ever tells that. No one ever speaks to that. And I remember the first finance class I went to, and I said, what do you mean? Credit card is the best option, not when they have high interest rates. And they're like, no, they don't give high interest rates to the rich. The rich don't have the same interest rates as us. They pay 2 to
Yes.
3%, and we pay 15 to 19%. So it's a
Mhm.
difference when you learn these things, and you have someone to teach you those things. That's why I said it's really critical that you guys pay attention and listen to the important components, not just like, oh, we're providing you disciplinary action. That's not just the important pieces. We're providing you disciplinary action, but we're also providing you guidance when it comes to like money. I hope they are. I hope your parental figures are like, someone's teaching you about the 30-20 50 rule. Like someone's teaching you about those components in life because you really need to know them in order to survive financially. Like you said, even I referenced it earlier, how a guy in his, was 25 years old and he made all these millions of dollars. And then by the time he was 30, he was filing for bankruptcy. What? Like, he didn't, he basically squandered it all away because he didn't get the right information about his investments and where to put his money that in a money market. So that way his money can make him money. No one taught him that. That's why I said it's really important how you guys learn things. And if you don't, I don't know if either one of you are looking to go to college and things like that right now, but that's what college taught me. That's what I learned when I first sat down in my first accounting class. And I was like scratching my head, like, what? This is madness. I got that knowledge and no lie. I had to join my first job was in accounting because I wanted to know more. I wanted to know those secrets. I wanted to know all that stuff they didn't teach me in elementary schools and high school. I wanted to know that because 1+1 is not equaling 2. But if I'm doing the same thing as the man sitting next to me and I'm not getting the same investment in value, I want to know what he's doing versus what I'm doing. I want to compare the two. So that's what that accounting job had taught me. It was great. It was great to get that foot in and learn that information and then get out. So because they don't tell you that either, when to get out. So you got to learn that as well. When you get in an investment, how to get out. So that's equally important. Jordan, do you think the school system failed you?
Yes and no. I think yes, because I think the school system should be based off of like what you need to survive, like what you need to do to live in this world. And then college should be about like what you need to learn for the career you want to pursue. So I think it failed me in that aspect because I don't like if I wanted to be a hairstylist, I don't need to be learning trigonometry. I think it's not important. I think I'm not doing math in someone's head. So like I don't need to do that. But no, I don't think it failed me, no, because like what David said, I think it taught us structure and discipline. Like waking up on time, knowing that you have to be somewhere, getting there on time, doing what you're supposed to do, like just like that.
Okay. So what skills and knowledge are essential for the next generation?
Knowledge for the next generation. Well, financial literacy, that's definitely one. Knowing how to talk to people. I'll say learning about, well, these in my opinion. So learning about business management, how to market things, because I feel like everything has something to do with marketing or selling. So definitely knowing how to sell something or market. I feel like that's something you definitely want to learn, even if you're not going to use it. But, sales, you got to sell everything. This whole world is around selling something. So it's good if you learn it. What else I see? Like how to invest your money. Like if you're going to do stocks, crypto, forex trading, learn about those type of stuff. So definitely how to invest your money, how to save your money, how to make more money. But I feel like those are the skills that the next generation should learn.
I think that's great. I think you named some really top-notch things. And when you say marketing, I also think it's very important that you learn how to sell yourself.
Yes.
Like when you speak of marketing is great, a great tool to have, but you have to even be able to market and sell yourself because you can have all the skill set in the world. But if you don't know how to say, hey, I'm somebody and I'm worthy of this opportunity or this advance or this anything, then you also are then not able to move forward and then get up a higher pay scale or a higher job. So you really have to know how to market to sell yourself. And your personality and your skill set. So that's equally important, not just products and not just, inventory of things that you have. That's a very important piece of knowing how to sell yourself. In addition to that, I do want to also add another crucial item that I think that's really important, conflict resolution. You're gonna have to know how to debate your way through life. What happens when you're faced with opposition? Not everybody's going to always agree with you. And that's where my fear comes in for your younger generation because you're not well versed in how to take a stance and not turn violent because you get so frustrated with your patients that you may miss the opportunity to be like, okay, let me articulate this in clear wording. So conflict resolution is equally important. Jordan, what are your thoughts on what you feel the future generations needs to know, or what is essential in knowledge?
So definitely what David said about financial literacy, that's really important. Like credit money is king in this world, so you need to know what to do with money. I think also being able to balance your wants and needs. Like too much could kill you. So gotta be able to balance it. And also knowing when to bet on yourself.
That is very important. Know when to bet on yourself. That's absolutely
Mhm.
true. That self-confidence, it speaks in volume. We actually had a previous episode, and I'm like, you know how much you could get if you just have walk around with self-confidence. You'll have
Mhm.
people bowing at your feet, and you can have no knowledge. You can have just the charisma and just have self-confidence, and you'll be able to wiggle your way throughout this whole entire world. It's just kind of crazy. But yeah, if you can speak well and articulate in words exactly what you want and your self-confidence, back it, yeah, people will throw, opportunities to you left and right. So that's really important. Know when to bet on yourself. It's really great. Victor, do you want to move on to social justice?
Yeah, definitely. All right. So, is social justice important to your generation?
You go first, Jordan, this time.
Yes, it is. I would say that it is. What is right? Obviously, being aware. I think it plays a really huge part in just being aware.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. What about you, David?
What was the question?
Is social justice important to your generation?
Or what
No, but I
exactly?
mean, well, I guess, that I can't believe it's almost been 4 years since the uprising of 2020. The rise of groups like Black Lives Matter and things of that nature, just the work of progressing country forward, is that still important to you guys?
I'll say yes. I feel like it's still important because, like, I'll say with the Black Lives Matter, like that, I feel as in once the whole situation, how everyone started to stand up, I felt as in like you were able to see how do I say this? With the Black Lives Matter, I feel like you were able to see how like wicked and like cruel this world is, like how racist everyone is. So I definitely agree with that. I feel like I also feel like that can make change. Maybe not now, but maybe sometime in the future it can make some change. So I feel like yes.
Okay, wow.
Can I just ask a question? I'm going to delve a little bit into that and get you guys thinking about something. When he talks about social justice, he's talking about things that, like, you ever heard that phrase where you say, if you don't stand for something, then you'll fall for anything? You both have heard
Oh
that
yes,
statement before? So it's like,
yes.
those movements where like Trayvon Martin, someone that's you guys your age group, and he going out with a hoodie on his head and some Skittles in his pocket and soda, and he's, gunned down, in confliction and have conflict and not able to, stand for his own rights and, the social justice behind that and the system that failed him. Like, what do you guys do when you hear that this is a common, discussion in society? How does that make you feel when you hear that? Social justice to me, that's actually some of the things that, not just BLM, not just, what is it, Eric Garner, like, him being choked out, by a police officer. That's the fear that I have for your generation, because you guys, I don't know why you see things like that and you're like, why do you guys allow that? That's the question being asked of my generation X. Why do we allow things like this in behavior? And I got to be honest with you. If I'm the mother in those situations, I'm never going to forgive the police officer. If anything, I want one of their necks just like they took my son's neck. You know what I mean? So when it comes to social justice in the world, what do you guys fight for? What is your stance? And why is it important to you? That's the question, really. And when I sat down and I thought of it, I'm like, Trayvon Martin was in your age bracket, in your group, when he passed. So what does that mean to you guys when you see and hear things like that and you're constantly under attack, especially as a young Black male, David, and Jordan, you as a young woman, because they don't have, you know, any type of, oh, let's not, bother a Black woman. They'll bother anybody. If our skin is brown, immediately we're under attack, or we're considered a threat. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you guys feel that it's important, and what is it that you guys are working on to kind of, I guess, take the torch and lead that to social justice and making it better?
I do feel like it's important when I hear those things, story about people getting choked out, slam, that kind of hurts because I'm Black myself. And I feel
Mhm.
as in like, because like, what do I fight for? Like, I fight for, how do I explain it? Like, in this society, you know, black people are looked down upon, you know, that we're hood rats, we can't pull our pants up, always sagging, always want to shoot, we're not smart, we're dumb. And I feel as in like, you know, that's not true because they judge us, you know, before they get to know us. They probably seen one guy do this or like a mass shooting that this dude did, you know, and they'd be quick to think, oh, all black people are like that when that's not the case. You know, not all of us are, you know, dumb enough to go do this dumb thing. And all because the one thing happened, they judge all of us. So I feel as in like, you know, I feel as in like, in order to change, there's a lot for us to change. So I feel like in order for us to change and people to see us different, I feel as black people should stop like going at each other's head. Like we're so far apart from each other. Like we hate our own race more than other people hate us. And I feel as in like, in order for once that changed, then I feel like that's when like, oh, other people, like other races will start seeing us differently and probably, you know, won't be so quick to body slam us on the ground and, you know, put our knee. Like if that were to change and we were actually came apart instead of actually trying to kill somebody, you know, kill our own race, I feel as in like, that's when other people look at us different. You know, they won't be so quick to body slam us without, you know, thinking that we're going to hurt them all because of our skin color. So I do believe it is a big part. That's my opinion on that.
Yeah. Did you want to dive deeper into that, Jordan? What do you think the action should be from your generation when you hear that these things are happening in the world and in society? How would you look to see change, and what does that look like for you?
So back to what David said about like other races, other groups of people thinking that we're all the same. I think to change that narrative, I think we just need to prove them wrong. Not also sticking together. Like we're the only group of people who do not stick together. Every other group of people stick together, they stick with their own, and we're the only people shooting and killing each other and just going against each other.
You know, I want to actually disagree only because there's other nationalities out here that actually go to war within their own group. We're the only one publicized. So when I say that, that means the media outlets be right there, you know, in your inner city with their cameras out, ready to record at any given moment. But, you know, it's on the news for a day or two. But when you say that, you know, there's, you know, 20 in a city that you're in, and that's on TV constantly, and that's the only one being you know, recorded or reported, then you start to feel that that's the norm. And I think those other social groups that have it, or the other ethnic groups that do go to war with each other and have those battles, it's just very hushed, and it's not the media outlets there to record it. And when they do have those battles, it's in a different form. You have the, you know, the fathers that unalive the mother. You have other issues where, you know, social school you know, shootings, or, you know, things like that. Like, so it's much broader, and it's much, I guess, want to say massive for them when they do it. So it's just not as televised as often as ours is. I want to say that because they go to war. They do unalive each other and do different things and kidnap and all of that stuff, and all of that stuff, but it's just not as televised as ours is reported daily. And I think that's the difference. And not only in, like, you know, the media groups, but you'll see it on, you know, our actual media groups. You'll see it on, like, you know, CNN. You'll see it everywhere. Like it's this broadcast, like this like national announcement. And it's like, no, well, why didn't you guys do that when you saw that this situation was much more severe somewhere else, or, you know, a different situation? You'll hear about it a day or two in the news with them, not for the weeks and months that you hear about us. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
My thoughts on it. I'll move along. I'll turn it back to Victor and let him move along. I'm sorry, I ain't taking it.
And like, no, I'm actually glad that you went down that road because, you know, this kind of leads me to my next question. And before I actually get to it, just remember, folks, that, you know, you can't help the people that hate you. You can only help the people that, you know what I mean, that you can protect yourselves. You know, unfortunately, there is racism in this country. So no matter what good you do, there's always going to be someone around that corner that hates you just because of how you look in the mirror. So you can't worry about that.
Yeah.
You know,
And it doesn't even
actually
matter how you look. I wanted to add to that. I'm so sorry, Victor. I
No,
wanted
go
to add
ahead,
to
go
that.
ahead.
It don't even matter necessarily how you look. The next person can hate you regardless of your race or your color, simply based on how you carry yourself and how
Carry
you are
yourself.
presentable. So that, keep that in mind too, because I see that often amongst
Yeah.
women and men with each other in social settings. I can have a girlfriend very much as my girlfriend, but as soon as I'm doing a little bit better than her, And I don't care if it's money-wise, job-wise, man-wise, marriage, kids, I don't care what it is. That immediately, you know, horns come out and they're like, how do I get better than her? How do I knock her out of that situation? So you have to be, I want to say you have to have eyes on the side and in the back of your head and watch out for those type of behaviors, because he made a
Right.
statement about, you know, people that, you know, that don't look like us, but people that even look like us, you know, it could be right in disguise. Sometimes that self-hate is right in your circle and you don't even acknowledge that or think that's a possibility. So keep that in mind.
Oh yeah,
Shut up now.
definitely.
Go ahead.
Fact. No, you were spitting facts right there. You spitting facts. No, but it does bring me to how can we promote inclusivity and fight against discrimination? You know, that kind of ducktails from what Ty was talking about, because, you know, like George said earlier, we're kind of phasing out. So this is going to be your fight. So, you know, do you guys have any idea of, you know, how to push that needle forward, you know, to protect yourself? I guess who went last?
Go ahead,
I need to
Jordan.
roll some dice over here. We flip a coin.
I think just sticking together, definitely sticking together. Not just just stop pushing to just be like, I don't know how to say this, but like for Black people, I think sticking together is the most important thing that we need to do, because almost like the entire world is against us. Like the world is designed for us to fail. We are not made to succeed in this world. So I think just sticking together, that would like help us in the future.
Facts. Facts.
Thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate you stopping by and watching our video. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Again, this is the Grown Up Group, and this is our conversation with bettering the world for our future generations with Gen Z. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye, guys.